So I figured as far as the tech series go, we have to talk about Pro Tools. I know that most people aren't using Pro Tools for composition unless you're really, heavy on audio. But there are certain processes that you do need to know because eventually, when you have projects that have live recording and mixing and all that, you're going to be entering Pro Tools at some point. Also, if you're a composer assistant or you want to be a composer assistant, you will be asked to use Pro Tools at some point. So, Pro Tools itself is a really great audio DAW, not so great on MIDI. So the history of the program is really that it used to only have audio capabilities. It did not have any MIDI capabilities. Whereas Logic, Cubase, and those other DAWs that we tend to use for composition, they came from MIDI. So they did not have any audio capabilities when they were invented. And so over the past 2 decades or so, these products have really kind of tried to meet in the middle. But looking at the functionalities and workflow, Pro Tools is still very much an audio-based DAW. That's why mixers like to use it and why every scoring stage is using it. As opposed to what we need is really MIDI capabilities, which is why a lot of composers prefer Logic, Cubase, Digital Performer, Reaper, and all those other DAWs. But so you don't have to be a Pro Tools wizard. I'm certainly not. But there are certain processes, 3 to be exact, that I want to showcase because you're most likely going to have to do them at some point in your career. So the first process I want to talk about is Pro Tools Session Prep, which is the most common one that you're going to be doing. Meaning once you're done composing, you need to prepare sessions for the scoring stage if you have live recording. And so here's how you do that. I just randomly picked cues from projects of mine where I had to do that. So here's Pro Tools Session Prep as you would send it to any scoring stage around the world. I'm just going to create a new session. There you go. The cue I picked was from this project, 2M18 PT session. And then we're always in 24-bit, 48K. I've never had any other settings. Every scoring stage is using that unless you specifically request something else. I/O settings, I always choose stereo for this because the stems I'm sending are in stereo. So there's no need for surround unless you're one of the very few people that actually compose in surround, then go for it. But for the most part, usually you're just going to have stereo. And then hit create. Let's go in here, session prep, and create that session. There you go. So this is the so-called edit window, I believe. And then you also have the mix window, which is, there you go, nothing in it right now. And the first thing that I do usually is I will import the picture because that's going to be the first thing that you're going to need. Import. So here's the picture, and I'm just going to open that. It'll open this dialog. I'll just always have it create a new track. I don't import the audio from the file because we're not going to need that for the session or ever really for this kind of purpose. And I import it to the session start. There it is. So this is the working title here is Supercharged. It's actually Fearless, the animated movie that's on Netflix that I've done. But so this is Reel 2. I'm just pretending I'm preparing, a cue from Reel 2. You have to prepare a separate Pro Tools session for every single cue. In this movie, I think it was 74. So that's why we have assistants. But so here you can see the time code on the picture. That's where the movie needs to be lined up. Also make sure you're in the right frame rate and everything. This would be red or something if it wasn't in the right frame rate. So how do you line up the picture? Well, in Pro Tools, you can go into spot mode up here and just click on any file. And then this dialog is going to open. And you can select time code and then line it up to the time code. I love that the picture just vanished. What is it? 1595000. Someone remember this? 1 59. Where is it? Okay, so now it's lined up right there in the back where that time code is. And other reels will then line up, somewhere here, and reel 3 is gonna line up at hour 3 right here. So at the end, when they import everything at the dub stage, they're gonna have everything lined up at the right hour. But for now, so this is where I can also show you the time code here. See, this needs to align.